It's the challenge with the current healthcare system. A lot of us have health concerns and you see your family doctor and they can only spend 10 minutes with you.
I don't even know if this is true. Doctors, in the way the system is even set up, is more of a how many can you get in per day is going to be the way that I'm compensated.
And then maybe I'll just take to the scope of even just menopause, because women are so interested in that now, right?
Right.
But, they're looking for hormone therapy and they're hoping that the silver bullet to kind of help them feel better.
Do you feel a lot of women, when they're experiencing that, are, I don't know if embarrassed is the word.
Like, it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom, right?
Yeah. When you tell people you're a chiropractor by trade, do they sit up a little bit taller and kind of pull their shoulders back?
Welcome to the Best of White Rock, where we sit down with the standout business owners, community leaders, and entrepreneurs shaping life here in White Rock and South Surrey for the better. These are their stories behind the people driving real change in our community. Hosted by me, Darren German of the German Group.
Hormones, whole body, holistic health.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it all today. Jenny, I'm so excited to have you on the Best of White Rock. This has been a long time coming, a long time in the making. We've got a lot of mutual friends, a lot of friends that have been on the show. Yeah. And you've got an incredible story to tell. And the way that you help people in the community and the way that what you and the practitioners at your facility do, the way they show up for the community and really help people is such a great story. So we're going to get into all that today. What I would love for you to do is first introduce yourself to everybody, let them know what you do and what you got going on over there at Living Wellness.
Okay, hi. So my name is Dr. Jenny Ma. I'm a naturopath and a chiropractor, and I am the owner of Living Wellness Center. Living Wellness Center has been around for over 16 years now. And we have over 15 practitioners there. So we have naturopathic doctors, we have counselors, we have acupuncturists, massage therapists. So we're really well equipped to kind of help patients through it all, but it's very rooted in kind of that naturopathic medicine. So we're really into like integrative care. Really what we do is we look at the whole person and really kind of work through their struggles, what they're working through. And we look through a very holistic lens in terms of how to help them through their health.
Yeah, well, let's get right into that. That's helpful. So when you say like look at the whole person, and I know that's on your website as well, and I found that really interesting because and we talked a lot about this when we kind of got ready for this interview, is we're so narrow in scope when we look at people through the lens of Western healthcare and whatnot. So can you explain that holistic or that whole person kind of philosophy?
Yeah, I think it's the challenge with the current healthcare system and the fact that, a lot of us have health concerns and you see your family doctor and they can only spend 10 minutes with you. It's just the nature of just how healthcare is. It's not, a slam on any kind of way that conventional medicine works. It's just lots of family doctors don't have the time. And so we often have patients that come in who are like, I'm told things are normal. I don't feel well. How to help me? And so when they come in, we're working through all of that and like spending the time to kind of really listen to their story. And so it's a common thread that we have with all of the patients that come in, right? It's like they feel heard. They actually feel like they're listened to. And we work through all of those problems in a way that helps support their health. So, oftentimes it's not just about like alternative medicine or that sort of thing. It's about really kind of holistically looking at how to help them through whatever they're going through. Yeah,
and you had made a comment that a lot of it starts with that simply listening. And to your point, like the current healthcare system, and I don't even know if this is true, maybe you do, like I've heard that doctors in the way the system is even set up is more of a how many can you get in per day is going to be the way that I'm compensated each day. And when you say simply listening, how does that play out in real life? Because I guess people come in and they've probably already set a conclusion in their mind and likely oftentimes the conclusion they've set might not even be the help that they need.
Yeah, and it's never just one thing, to be honest. It's like, someone comes in with fatigue and, we're looking at maybe their nutrient levels like iron or B12 or their thyroid, but it could just be some of the lifestyle pieces that, maybe they just don't have the time to pay attention to. Like maybe they're not sleeping very well, or maybe, they're not fueling themselves for the day. So really when we talk to them about their health, it's about kind of how they really are taking care of themselves and not just looking at one angle of that to support them through that.
Like what's one of the number one things that people start out coming in and maybe it's a spiraling of all these different things that might be going on, but what are some of the things that people
come in with.
Yeah, come in with.
Yeah, I mean, so with all of the different practitioners that were there, like it's interesting because there are 15 practitioners, 14 of us are females, and we have one male. So it's neat in the fact that a lot of us have lived through many of the things that people come in with. So we have people coming in for fertility and then working through and then like navigating, young children and the stresses that come with that. And then, I've been in practice at Living Wellness Center for over 12 years. So now I'm seeing people who are in menopause and perimenopause. So it's like seeing them through the transitions of life and the struggles they go through, and then trying to kind of support them through all of those different kind of phases in life are really where I think we excel.
And that's where you've built this really incredible team of so I didn't know there was one guy there. So at least I was going to say women now. So we'll say that we'll just call it the team now.
That's right.
But you've built this really incredible team of people that surround you, and they all have a different aspect that they can add to the conversation.
Right.
Almost like tools in a toolkit, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like when someone comes in, they normally would come in like who's the most popular?
I mean, it's definitely women who are interested in investing in their health, right? It's like often.
Do you normally find it's women that are normally are much more kind of prepared to talk about that and actually maybe even do something about it?
Yeah, and I think we had a conversation about it earlier. It's like I think women are seeking that now, right? Like they know something is wrong, they feel overwhelmed, they really don't know where to go with it, and so they come in and like reach out to have support. And whether they have challenges getting pregnant or whether or not they're again struggling with perimenopause or menopause, it's identifying like all of the things that they're struggling with and being able to kind of support them through all of those factors.
Yeah. So they come in, and when you're going through your assessment with them, a first session as an example, is it kind of like you're a detective, I'm guessing. Yeah. And are you the one that plays that role typically?
There are 6 naturopaths as well. So it's not just me, but like I like to focus on perimenopause and menopause. But again, other practitioners are just as equipped to do all of those things.
Sure.
So it really just depends on what they're coming in with. But it is like a detective, right? Like working through how they're living in their lives and how they're managing their stress. And the cool thing is like if a patient comes in, they're overwhelmed, and there is definitely hormonal issues, but stress is the biggest factor. Managing that stress in the way that potentially a counselor could help, or even acupuncture could help, is really, really beautiful in the way that our clinic is able to kind of support that person holistically.
Yeah. Well, and even when you come in and you're looking for a prescription before knowing really what the problem is, that's where I would imagine the power is in that, because we're all on the internet every day, and I mean, geez, in the last couple of years with the age of AI as well, there's probably so many people that are coming in. They're just looking for the drug or the prescription, right? And there's always so much more than that. When you do these kind of investigative deep dives, we'll call it, it sounds a lot more forensic, I guess, than using that terminology. But when you do these forensic deep dives, what are some questions that you find people really start to maybe turn the way they're thinking about things, or get deeper than the surface level on, I feel fatigued during the day?
Yeah.
What do you feel some of those questions are that unearth that?
I think the challenge is that, and then maybe I'll just take to the scope of even just menopause, because women are so interested in that now, right? But, they're looking for hormone therapy, and they're hoping that's the silver bullet to kind of help them feel better. But I mean, in this stage of life where women are struggling, it's not just that, right? It's like now they have children that they're taking care of. You're generally higher in their career potentially, so that's harder stress. Perhaps they're dealing with like elderly parents and managing that aspect, and they're not moving as much, they're not taking care of themselves as much. And so, as patients have this expectation of hopes of, okay, is hormone therapy the solution? Oftentimes when we're working with patients, it's not just that. And so we are supporting them through that journey. But also too, when we talk about even menopause, it's like 40% of their life. So it's not just this one aspect of their health, it's all the things that come with it. So, all of the risk factors that come with it. Women in general, more risk for heart disease at this point in time, and other risks like osteoporosis. And so as they become patients of ours, we're only counseling them on so many aspects of their health, not just one thing.
Right. And you're so connected in the community as well. And I know you get a lot of people saying, like Jenny and her team can really help you through a lot of these things. And that's where that whole kind of over or under, I guess under one roof rather, approach comes in. So you have this team of professionals that can really help people navigate that.
Yeah.
Now you talked about hormones, and that seems to be such a topic of conversation in the world of health right now. And it sounds like that's maybe one reason that a lot of people actually investigate maybe coming to visit in the first place.
Yeah.
Talk to me about hormones for those, or maybe, and pretending I don't know anything about them, because I really don't. What are they, and why are they such a topic of conversation right now?
Yeah, I think again, and it's probably the demographic I'm in as well too, right? Like I'm in the stage of life where things are shifting and changing, and all the things I outlined earlier in terms of the stresses that happen are starting to kind of accumulate. And so I think in general, as women get older, they feel like their resilience lessens. And so hormone therapy is a great way sometimes to kind of bridge the gap or support that. Just in recent years, social media has really blown up in terms of the interest of that. And really because it's been shown to show so much benefit in terms of helping women age and age well. And so, when women aren't feeling like themselves, or they just feel more fatigued, more tired, or are having hormonal shifts like hot flashes and sleep disturbances, or even mood disturbances, hormone therapy can be really beneficial for that. And it was really I'd say poo-pooed, I don't want to use that word. It was really kind of like frowned upon, I guess, 20 years ago. So there was a whole decade of women who were actually denied hormone therapy because of the risks that were implied or thought that were implied. But modern research has really shown that it's quite safe and actually quite protective of many things that women see as they get older. So again, a lot of women are seeking that out and that support, looking again for more holistic care, or even looking at longevity and supporting that. And so again, it's a great way to help support women as they age, essentially.
So these hormones, like, do they naturally stop occurring, or is there something that's causing them to be depleted? Like, how do people end up there in the first place? Yeah,
I mean, it's just a natural progression of life, but like perimenopause can also last for almost 10 years. So like into your late 30s, into your 40s and 50s, women will have fluctuations in their hormones that can be very dramatic, which can lead to all sorts of changes and mood changes, sleep changes, energy, resilience to stress, all of those things, and physical changes as well too. And then closer to when they hit menopause is really where they start to have other possible symptoms that are related to that. Mm-hmm. And so if we were to approach hormone therapy, we have to make sure that they are good candidates for it. So looking at their risks and benefits, and often being educated about that, but also then being able to kind of support them through that transition. So some of those ebbs and flows won't be as dramatic, essentially.
Right. Something struck me as you were talking about like menopause as an example, and people experiencing that. At the time, I imagine, and I know there's a form of like mental health that you take care of at the clinic as well.
Yeah.
When people come in and it's new to them, and it's something that we talk about as a society that we just accept it as is, but like the people going through this is new to them, and it's happening to them, and they've never experienced it. What are some of the things you hear in that regard when they're able to come in and they have this support team of people who have been there before, and or maybe they haven't been there before, but they've helped people that have been there before, and they've seen it again and again. And there's a pathway, because I know you focus a lot on women's health, not just specific to that, but that's a big focus of the clinic.
Right.
What do you see in that regard?
I think the general thread that we hear all of the time is that women feel heard and supported, and they finally feel like there's solutions or answers to some of the things they're searching for, essentially. So, at some point they feel like someone has their back, that they are able to kind of not feel like they're, drowning per se, and that there are some answers that could potentially help support them so they can thrive, right?
Do you feel a lot of women, when they're experiencing that, are, I don't know if embarrassed is the word, but it's new to them, and maybe it's almost like a shedding of the armor. It's so to like it's a big life event. Mm-hmm. It's a signal that we've all gotten a little bit older.
Yeah.
Do you feel that they struggle to talk about that?
All the time. I think it's like, when you're used to feeling a certain way and then starting to notice that you can't cope as well, or that things are a little bit harder, right? I think that's a hard thing, or that your body doesn't feel like itself. So it's like, it's a huge struggle or transition. But I think the nice thing about it is that like when we talk about it and educate patients about it or women about it, they can feel empowered about the decisions they make so they can age better. Like it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom, right? It's not just, oh gosh, I'm going through this. It's like, okay, how do I age well? Or how do I take care of myself? Because I think some of the rules don't apply as you get older. You know, you can't just fight through it as much anymore.
Yeah, well, even in what you're saying too, you can look at it through two different perspectives, right? You could look at it as a doom and gloom and like, you know, thinking about what was, or you can look at it as a celebration and look at it as what is and what can I, or what, you know, what do I have now and what can my life look like and what can my health look like at this stage of my life.
That's right.
So when people come into the clinic, so well, actually, I want to back up a little bit here. So your background originally, naturopathy and I always worry that I'm saying that right. Naturopathic. Yeah, and chiropractic. So how do you even? To me, those seem so two totally different things. So how did that all kind of come together? Where did that start, and how did you get to where you are today as the owner of the clinic?
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting journey for me, to be honest. Like I knew I wanted to help people and work with people and work in healthcare. And so my last year of university, I was like, well, I'm not sure what I want to do. And my dad suggested chiropractic. I'd never been to a chiropractor, never seen that. But I looked into it, got a scholarship, applied, and, you know, I applied, got a scholarship, and just went like without really knowing much about it, to be honest.
When you tell people you're a chiropractor by trade, do they sit up a little bit taller and kind of pull their shoulders back?
Potentially, but I am probably more of a naturopath than a chiropractor, so no. But and so I went to school in the States where the scope of practice was much greater. So in the States, I could practice as a family practitioner for the most part. And so while I was in school, I ended up getting my naturopathic degree as well too. And so really, when we moved back to Canada, I kind of jumped in and worked at Living Wellness Center as a practitioner, not an owner, and really kind of transitioned my practice in that way per se.
So what is naturopathy?
Yeah, it's like really kind of looking at the whole person, but also too, like I think the myth of naturopathic medicine is that we are against conventional medicine and that we prescribe a billion supplements. Like that doesn't have to be true per se.
Right. It's like you got to take off your shoes and be grounding on the earth, and if you're a man, you have to have a hair bun and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a balance. Like the practitioners at the clinic are very different in the fact that we provide patients answers and solutions. So, you know, you might come in with a preference and say, I don't want to go on hormones, but I want to be able to be supported. And I'm going to give you the best evidence to say, this is this option, this is this option, and we'll walk through it so that you can make an informed decision. It's not just about, you know, me pushing you to take this supplement because of that. It's really about the education component that I think the clinic is very strong about.
Sure.
In terms of just kind of walking you through what you feel comfortable with, right?
We had just had Julia Chen on the show, who's a registered dietitian, and you know, from your standpoint, she had made a comment which I found was really interesting, is like the difference between supplementation and literally the word supplementing because you're missing something.
Right.
So where do you see the difference between and for in the world in the eyes of naturopathy, like the difference between diet and the supplementation and how those kind of work together to
work together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a naturopath, like we use all sorts of tools to help a patient, right? So there is like a counseling component of things because lifestyle changes are hard, right? Like if I tell you to eat more protein, but you've never eaten that, like how do we work through that? So a lot of that is like supporting you to kind of figure that out. But also too, like supplements can be a tool, right? To help support things. Like there are often nutritional deficiencies that could affect people and how they feel. So we will suggest those things if they're warranted per se, right? But we'll also use herbs. We'll also use, like we have IV therapy and iron infusions at the clinic, so that helps support patients as well too. We use, you know, pharmaceutical medication in our in our what is it? Like it's in our formulary, we are able to use that as well. So we're really just, again, like using all of our different tools, even manual medicine. So when you mentioned that chiropractic component, you know, it's like helping movement, like helping in that aspect. If someone has pain, it's just another tool that we use to help someone feel better.
Yeah, well, I love that idea, and kind of like what we said earlier in the interview, like the tools in the toolbox. You've got these things that, like, so as an example, what comes to mind is my wife and I are vegan. So we're like legally required to tell you that, right? As it's like whether someone does CrossFit or if they're vegan, they have to tell you.
Yeah.
But naturally, just from the diet that we eat, there's a very high likelihood, if not for sure, I mean, you would know better, but that there is missing components from our diet that we simply just can't get. So like B12 is a really difficult one as an example, right?
Yeah.
Iron is a really difficult one, unless I want to eat spinach all day long, which I don't. That's likely something that's going to have to be supplemented for.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes in and they, from the lens of your professional standpoint, so because you kind of wear two hats, right? You've got the business owner and you've got this incredible team, and then people still come to see you for your own individual practice as well. When they come in, is it normally like a feeling of just something's not functioning right? I'm not feeling like I used to. What is that trigger that usually gets people sitting in front of you at that stage?
I think it's when they start to feel frustrated and just feel like they need some sort of support or guidance, right? Again, it's like the common thread we often hear is that, I didn't really get the support I needed. I still don't feel great. You could help me with answers, or I've had a family member that you've helped before, please help guide me through that, essentially, right?
Well, you made a comment too when we first had connected about almost like the system had left them behind. It almost reminds me of like a specialty school where public school just didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And can you expand on that a little bit? Because there's that connection where when people aren't feeling well for whatever reason, whether it's related to the way that they stand tall in the terms of chiropractor, or that they're fatigued, or they're not feeling like themselves, or all the other reasons that they could, their first inclination is probably, well, I'm going to go down to see my GP and see what they say, and the result of that's likely, well, they're just going to prescribe something. Or like I remember one time I had a GP just tell me to take Advil for something, and it was like a recurring thing, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like an answer.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's probably the challenge. But again, I think this is just the way that healthcare is set up in Canada. It's like no fault of the family doctors that are there. It's just, again, they're trained to look at one problem, fix one problem. But people are so complex. It's never just one problem, right?
Yeah.
Like oftentimes it's stemmed from many different aspects. And I think maybe that's where naturopathic medicine really shines, is just the fact that it is, again, holistic. Like when you get someone to sleep, when you get someone to actually manage their stress, when they are actually eating to fuel their body, they feel 100% better. And a lot of people are either not aware or can't access that, and so being able to kind of support that patient, or even give them the awareness to be like, oh, this is actually where I need support, or these are the things that I need to pay attention to, are so cool, because on a day-to-day basis, that's why we have people come through the door day in and day out, right? It's just that they finally, again, feel heard, and they actually have some sort of empowerment of what they could do to feel better. And, they're always using their family doctor as that base as well too, but we're often just another healthcare provider in their health team to help them through that.
Right. Yeah. And it is a team, because they're they're kind of two different lanes almost, right? And when someone comes in to see the clinic now, what's some of the things that you notice that they leave with that really aha moment?
Yeah.
I thought this, but now I understand or see it through a different lens. What are some of those?
I think, again, like if even just reading the reviews, most of our business is all referrals and from the community, right? So it's, again, just that service to our community, service to our patients, essentially. But, I think the common theme, and maybe it's just because, again, we're a group of women who really care, is that generally people feel very well cared for, essentially, there.
Yeah. And so tell me about some of those reviews. Like what, after someone comes and engages with the clinic, what are some of the common threads in the commentary that you hear?
I hate to toot my own horn, because I've worked at many different clinics that are integrative, but I really feel like at this clinic, a lot of us are mature practitioners who have lived in this experience. And so it's really just like, supporting that patient and knowing kind of what they might need and giving them that per se, and really being truly integrative. So, again, like if a patient comes in where their mental health is really struggling, I have no problem referring them to the counselors that are there, because that would really give them the best benefit for how to them to feel better.
Yeah. Well, and it almost builds this internal no longevity or wellness plan for these people, right? Because they've got that support, and having that one-on-one relationship with the people at your clinic, and sometimes it's going to be out of your scope of expertise, but you've got somebody under that roof who can really help them in whatever, you know, medium or vertical that might be. And I know you were saying this on the, when we first met as well, is like when people come to the clinic and visit, they tend to be with you for quite some time after that because of the support that they get. Can you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's super neat. Like, again, I've been at the clinic for 12 years, but I mean, I saw kids when they were 6 and now they're 18. Like, it's neat to see, right? Or, you know, our acupuncturist who saw a patient through pregnancy, getting her pregnant, and now she's like treating again the patient for menopause. Like, it's just a neat experience to see. And I think again, as our practitioners are getting older, we're seeing that through that transition. And so it's a neat thing to kind of see again.
Yeah. If you could grab, you know, and you can answer this one of two ways, like with your kind of, you know, your specialty hats that you have, or as the clinic owner that you have as well. If you could grab the residents of South Surrey White Rock and grab them by the shoulder and clear up one misconception that they might have about what happens, you know, maybe between those walls, again, whether it's with the clinic or whether you're your own individual kind of specialties, what would you say?
I mean, again, it's like that, like the myth of it being like woo-woo or alternative. Like, we could be holistic and we could be evidence-based and we could support a patient. And so really, it's more just the fact that it doesn't have to be all or none, right? Again, it's like really, we're there to kind of support the patient in whatever choice that they want, in whichever direction they want. And it doesn't have to be an us versus them type of kind of philosophy.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Do you find a lot of people come in and they kind of, I never thought about that. I either have to pick this holistic, natural path, or I have to pick Western, but that's not true.
No, not at all. And I mean, I think it's again a different philosophy and practice, but generally the practitioners at the clinic are truly holistic. So we really want to work with all of our, you know, practitioners around. We have great relationships with even the physiotherapists around or other like counselors. Like, we work with everybody, you know, trainers, all of that sort of stuff. Because again, it's really what serves the patient. Like, that's what matters more.
Right. And so when serving the patient, I want to get into that a little bit. So you tend to specialize in women's health a little bit more. Not to say that not anybody can come in. Certainly they can. What are some of the things we've talked a little bit about? Menopause. We've talked a little bit about the naturopath route that people come in for. We talked a little bit about the chiropractic stuff, mental health. What other sort of things
do they come in with?
Yeah,
I think that's a large part of it. Digestion is a big one as well too. So, you know, people who have digestive issues, that's another aspect of naturopathic medicine that can be quite big. Stress management, I think.
Well, that's probably a big one too.
Yeah, it's huge right now.
Is that something that drives them in the door? You know, so when I think of stress, and maybe this is just my old lizard brain thinking here, but being a male too, is I'm just going to rough it out until I sprout all these gray hairs in my head. But when do people originally come in for the stress related stuff, or is that kind of a symptom of something else, but then it's like, wow, we need to really deal with this?
Yeah, I think that's what really uncovers is that piece, is that, you know, when someone comes in with this idea that they don't feel well, oftentimes we look at that aspect of it all, because stress equals mental health. You know, it affects how we function in the world, how we take care of ourselves. So it's often a very common theme that we're experiencing.
Yeah. So what does stress do to somebody's body?
Well, I mean, that manifests itself in so many different ways for people, right? Like, it could be the resilience, so their ability to they get sick all the time, or it starts to lead into mental health, so anxiety or depression. It can lead to just lack of self-care, right? So, you know, inability to eat, take care of themselves, like eat well, that sort of thing, or to move their body.
Yeah.
And so it could lead to heart disease. It can lead to so many different things, right? Again, but it's like really the stemming of how we manage our stress that then affects everything else out there.
Well, you mentioned mental health. Actually, we've kind of touched on it a couple times here. Do you find that people, and I don't know if this is just maybe a community thing, but do you find that people are reluctant to come in and talk about mental health?
I think it's becoming more and more of a thing, right? Like people are recognizing that it's something that they are struggling with, and it affects their ability to function in the world. It affects their ability to do work. It affects their ability to be present with their families, right? So, and also it's like having that discussion and like that awareness about how they manage that is helpful for them. And so we're often supporting that. And then, I mean, even from a hormonal component, women often will start to experience more anxiety or depression as they get older. It's a symptom as well too of menopause. And so again, like, you know, helping the patient recognize that, or even kind of identifying that, can be quite helpful.
Yeah, even just being able to put a label onto it
That's
and
right.
say this is what's going on. And I know, like, I've gotten lately really interested in like social psychology and stuff like that, and even just having labels to put on things to say, oh, that's what that is. It doesn't mean that I'm solving the problem. It doesn't mean that I know what the solution is, but at least I can identify it now, and I can say, oh,
Yes.
you know, there's a signal there, there's something happening there. And that can create further conversation with someone at the clinic, as an example, that is going to arm them with the tools to help them cope, deal, overcome, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, I think that's such an important piece of it, because I think we're in kind of a like hamster wheel, right? Like we're rushing from one thing to another, from work, kids, all of that stuff that, again, like we're not always aware of how stress is affecting us.
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, in lived in experience, because it's like we all live in a little bit of stress. It's just that understanding or awareness of how to kind of manage that or be aware of it. Yeah.
Do you see that as a cultural thing? So like as North Americans and whatnot, we're just like little worker bees, right? And we just keep going. We're like the what's that movie with the dwarfs and the hi ho, right? Like off to work I go, and it's kids, and then off to sports, and then work, and then make dinner, and you know, got to get all these chores done before I go to bed, and it's rinse and repeat day after day after day. Do you notice people, because we live in a community that has a lot of people from other areas of the world in there, do you notice that as more of a people that were kind of born here sort of thing versus people that are kind of come to the community from other parts of the world that carry that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I feel like it is pervasive, like all across. It's like just the more is more kind of mentality that's there, right? Like we feel like we have to do all of these things. But how it affects our nervous system, how it affects our energy, how it affects our ability to live through the day is really affecting our health, I find. And so, you know, there's something beautiful about actually like slowing down and saying no and creating boundaries and space, right? And so again, like talking about that is often helpful for people's health. So, you know, again, like accessing how they manage that in different ways it can be quite helpful to people feeling better.
I love how you kind of package that, because it makes a lot of sense, and creating that space to slow down. And that's something I've noticed that has come with age a little bit as well, is just you're a little less worried about what people think, and you're a little more comfortable in your own skin, and you're a little more willing to accept what is. And you're also curious to see maybe how you can do to improve things, and whether that's coming in for a chiropractic adjustment, or to sit down and talk about your mental health, or going through menopause, or whatever that is. I wanted to ask you, being a business owner in South Surrey, you know, we're in such a special little place of the world. Has operating out of South Surrey for quite some time now as well, has that had any influence on how you and your staff show up day to day?
I think so, because again, we live in this community. Like I go to the farmer's market and see like a ton of people, you know, I mean, my kids go to like are in activities that are local. Like, you know, my son plays hockey, my daughter dances locally. So it's like really, you know, seeing people through that, like taking care of our community, I think is a big component of it. And I think a lot of our patients feel that as they walk in the door as well.
Yeah, well, and I know even like talking about community, when we first, right before we turned the cameras on, we were talking about like all these common like people that we know and all that sort of thing. And it's true, because you guys are so ingrained in the community, and there's been so many people that you've helped in the community. And we're lucky to have services like that in the community. There was once upon a time where, and you know, we can see that being in real estate, I can say this too, there's towers everywhere now. There's a lot more people living here than there once was, right? But now there is, but we're also, along with that, has come these incredible small businesses that are able to support the community in a variety of ways, just like yours. And we're, you know, in the lane of healthcare, but we've been able to support the community in a variety of ways, which just makes it that that much better of a place to live and
That's
call
right.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's funny because we moved here 12 years ago, and like we didn't realize how special this area is, right? It's like I've had friends here who have lived here all their life, and I could see why, right?
Yeah.
So it's neat to raise kids here because I'm sure that they'll feel that way as they grow older. I'm sure they would never want to leave if they had the chance, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we've talked about a lot of the stuff that goes on in the clinic and who the clinic is really great for. So anyone listening to this or watching this, what would be the best way for them to learn a little bit more? Because there might be some other things that you guys do there that maybe we didn't cover, but what would be some of the ways that they could interact, maybe see what's going on, or come start a discussion? Maybe something that we talked about today kind of triggered their curiosity and they'd like to learn a little bit more.
Yeah. So you could check out our website. It's www.livingwellness.ca. We have an Instagram and Facebook page as well too, just to kind of check out, there. But I mean, again, a lot of our business really is word of mouth. So like if you talk to someone, there's a good chance maybe that they've seen someone at the clinic as well. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great thing for the community. It's a great group of professionals that are there. And I know, looking at your website, looking at the reviews, looking at what people are saying about how they're coming out of, because they don't come in fixed or without a problem. They're coming because they have a problem, but they're coming out with these incredible success stories from a variety of mediums, but they're coming out with these great success stories. And it's an incredibly well-regarded facility in the community.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job building it. And it's really, really incredible. So I'm going to encourage everybody, we'll make sure your information is linked in the show notes, but I'm going to encourage everybody to reach out. And if maybe there was something in this conversation that kind of, created a spark in them, it just takes a conversation.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. It was really, really nice, and learning a little bit more about what you're doing over there. And we're lucky to have you as part of the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.